Inclusive playgrounds, easier playtime for all kinds.
What is an inclusive playground, you may ask? An inclusive playground is a play structure that is designed to allow students of all kinds to participate in recess and playtime. Inclusive playgrounds typically include wide paths for wheelchairs, rubber grounds for canes, walkers, and crutches, ramps and easy climbing, nets to catch children to avoid falls. Inclusive playgrounds are important to ensure that all children are given an opportunity to play and have fun with peers, no matter if they're able-bodied or not.
Non-inclusive playgrounds do not allow a full energy release for all students. These are some of the effects that inclusive playgrounds have on students. Additionally, it leads to a difficulty in focusing, and it can cause poor behavior in the classroom or at home. And an increase in disability awareness across the younger age group is one of the positive sides if you have an inclusive playground. Additionally, it creates inclusion at recess rooms.
The effect on teachers. This affects many components of a school. Staff and faculty are affected in many ways. Children without accessible playgrounds can be disruptive not only in the classroom, but at home as well. It's a way to not have teachers worry for students' mental health due to exclusion that they can't control. Teachers are affected in more ways than you might think.
The effect on parents. Parents of all kinds are affected by inclusive playgrounds. Like parents of children with disabilities, they're able to see their children's play and make friends on an inclusive playground in ways you might not have been able to before. Parents with disabilities themselves are able to play on inclusive playgrounds with their children. Parents are a large influence on children, and the way in which they act can help children learn to treat others respectfully. The effect on the community. The community is affected by inclusive playgrounds because children are the heart of a community. When all children are able to make friends and play together, the community fosters a positive relationship. The community is important to fundraisers for the materials to build inclusive playgrounds and the support it takes to encourage cities and officials to approve a new playground.
So here are some of the ways we can build an inclusive playground. Most importantly, the first step is to advocate. So this is spreading awareness to the school board, parents, the city, and then after that you can plan it, and then after your plan you can revise it, and then after that you can present it to the school board and or government, and you might do a couple more revisions in between, and then after that you discuss funding and finances with the school board and the government. And after that, you create some blueprints and construct a playground, and then you advertise and share the positive results of an inclusive playground.
Funding. From who? Funding from state and local government as well as communities is super helpful. For who? The funding will help all children to create a safer and more inclusive environment. Why? Children with disabilities are often left out of playtime and friendship making. An inclusive playground will give them the space they need to be a kid and play with others.
So for advocating, who we are advocating to is many different people. So for members of the school board, as well as faculty and parents and all those people, that is a good way to promote the idea. So what are we advocating for? The benefits of an inclusive playground will spread awareness and persuade others. So ideally, just getting the idea out of an inclusive playground will help kind of persuade people. And advocating serves as a stepping stone for promoting new ideas and gaining insights. So when you're sharing with other people, you can get new ideas, you get good feedback, and things like that.
Potential obstacles. Support is one potential obstacle. Without the support from the community and governments, new playgrounds will not be approved. Finances. Without enough funding and money, the materials to build the new playground are unavailable. Availability. There may not be staff available to build the playground or staff willing to learn how to safely use the play structure. And time. Deconstructing and making a new playground will take a lot of time, so it's important that it can be done before school begins.
Opposing perspectives. Staff training. Since staff members at schools may already be on a tight schedule from their occupation and other school issues may be of higher priority, depending on the student ratio of disabled and non-disabled, funding would have to go to this training, and finding that funding could cause problems. This training would also be approved by the school board and possibly the state or local government.
So for the additional research, we reached out to a couple of schools to get their opinions and contributions to a inclusive playground. So for Maumee Valley Country Day School in Toledo, Ohio, they use natural landscapes as a playground, which is not ideally a inclusive playground, but using landscapes such as forests and rivers, it serves as it's like a different, unique place for improvement of mental health.
Walden Park in Macomb, Michigan is one of the few public parks with an inclusive playground. This playground has an ADA accessible playground so all children can learn and play together safely, and a wide trail that is safe for walkers and wheelchairs. This playground has a rubber ground that allows walkers and wheelchairs to cross it, and they continue to improve it often.
McGregor Elementary School in Rochester, Michigan. McGregor has a lot of resources for nonverbal students and comfort corners in each classroom. They are actively working to make their school a more inclusive place with inclusive playgrounds and more inclusivity within the classroom. We also got additional research from peer-reviewed articles. These articles we sourced from the BGSU library, and they were reviewed by different students at BGSU. The first article is, "For the Kids, an inclusive East Houston playground becomes a place where children of all abilities play together." This playground is built to accommodate for children with physical and mental disabilities in a way that allows all children to play and learn together. The design of this playground also has different colors that mark fall zones to help teachers identify areas that might need extra attention to keep children safe. This playground was designed and created through the community. They envisioned a space where children of all kinds can come together to play and learn from each other in a safe and respectful manner. This playground will help children grow into inclusive adults who don't treat others differently, just because of how they look or of their abilities.
Our second article is, "The Americans with Disabilities Act is a crucial part of implementing inclusive playgrounds." The Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, plays a crucial role in making inclusive playgrounds by requiring accessible design features such as ramps, safe surfaces, ground level play areas, and adaptive equipment. It also supports community involvement by allowing people to report inaccessible or exclusionary playgrounds, ensuring spaces are updated and remain welcoming to children with disabilities. Through these standards, the community oversight playgrounds can stay safe and enjoyable and inclusive for all.
And then our third and final article is the inclusion of disabled children in primary school playgrounds. So this article discusses the different ways in which students are not included in recess, what causes it, and what simple suggestions can be practiced without the stress of reconstructing a playground. Woolley mentions that imaginative play is a common recess method at the playground. One student who is disabled expresses frustration for the space being useless to her, as she cannot access it. Additional elements to recess at primary schools that tend to be controversial is the little time given to students for play and the physical barriers that are not inclusive to everyone. Small changes can be made to make the playground more inclusive, such as allowing more time and efficiently training recess monitors.
These articles help us understand that real people are affected by having no access to inclusive playgrounds. And so by including inclusive playgrounds in different aspects of the community and schools, that will make a lot of children happier.
So additionally, we conducted a survey to see people's different opinions on inclusive playgrounds. So for the first question we have, do you or someone you know have a physical disability? So the majority question here is yes, and the smaller question, or the smaller portion is no, which kind of shows the importance of having a all-inclusive playground. Growing up, did you or someone you know have access to an inclusive playground? So once again, we have a large answer portion for no, which means they did not grow up with an inclusive playground, or they know someone who does not have access to it, who needs it. And just a small portion said yes. So it also kind of shows that the inclusive playground is still kind of a small idea that's still expanding, and it's still in need for many people. So then on a scale of 1 to 5, rate the importance of inclusive playgrounds and its improvement towards child development. So 5 being you strongly agree and 1 being you disagree. And so about 84% of our answers strongly agree that it has an influence towards child development. Our next question is on a scale of 1 to 5. How often do you see inclusive playgrounds in your community? So since the inclusive playgrounds are a new expanding thing, the answers here are pretty mixed. We had 15% of our responses say they see it pretty often, meaning they live near one, or there's 23% of responses saying they hardly ever see one. It could be across town or not near them or not have one at all. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel when or if your local school or park did not have an inclusive playground? So 1 is more of a poor feeling and 5 is a neutral feeling. And so 30% said they would not feel good about it, and about 38% is around that range too. So it just goes to show that having an inclusive playground is beneficial. It creates it creates inclusion and happiness for everyone, and when you don't have that, it makes a lot of negative feelings in the playground. And then we also have some optional anonymous responses from some people. So one of them is, I do not have a physical disability, nor personally know someone that does. However, the lack of inclusive playgrounds does concern me, as playing on a playground was a huge aspect of socializing as a kid, which is very true because when you're a child and you have some kind of physical disability and you can feel really left out, as the playground is one of the biggest things for childhood development. Another thing is, it's bad to watch other people have fun when you can't have fun with them, even more so when you're younger. It makes you feel different, and that's something other kids pick up on too. If the world doesn't find a way to include you, it makes you seem less important to small kids. So once again, the feeling of being left out is something that is one of the biggest issues right now, and why we need more inclusive playgrounds. And one benefit of an inclusive playground is it made them a very active kid and stayed in shape throughout my life times when it's difficult to be in shape and active.
Possible solutions. More inclusive playgrounds is a solution. If inclusive playgrounds are normalized, there more children will be able to play freely. Promote to the community. The community is the most important part of an inclusive playground. If they're on board, everything will be easier. Raise money. By raising money, the resources needed for the playground will be obtainable. Teach the importance. When children in the community know why we need an inclusive playground, they'll be more willing to help fundraise for them.
So it is still understandable that having an inclusive playground might not be an option due to financing or other things like that. So there are a couple of alternatives you can do based on research. One thing you can do is just do minor modifications to the current existing playground. That can be replacing or adding parts to it, such as inclusive swings and things like that, and that can be just as efficient. Another thing you can do is staff training. If you train them the importance of including everyone and what it's like to feel not included, understanding and educating staff can create a much more inclusive environment. Also, using natural land, it might not be completely accessible for everyone, but if it is, playing in forests, rivers, and grasslands, that's pretty beneficial as well. And zero elevation areas like blacktops and sidewalks, recess activities at those places are more inclusive and support a diverse range of games.
The first stage would be to plan, and that is to identify any obstacles or roadblocks and find solutions to potential problems. Our next step would be to get administration support. We will need to talk to principals and administrators to see if they are on board to do this project and what steps they think we should take to further our project. And then our next step would be to gather public support. We will gather support using social media, flyers, and word of mouth. Our next stage would be to convince the governments. We will have to contact local and state governments and schools to see if they are willing to change their playgrounds into inclusive playgrounds. Our next step would be funding. After we get approved to change playgrounds, we must decide where we would like to incorporate an inclusive playground and how much we would estimate the cost to be. And then our final step would be promotion. Finally, we will promote the new playgrounds and allow children of all kinds to have a safe place to learn and play. In conclusion, inclusive playgrounds are important for students with and without disabilities. Yes, there are obstacles, but with support from administration, staff, governments, and the public, we can easily overcome them. Even if our plan is stopped at any point, we can pivot into alternatives such as modification, low elevation, staff training, and natural land play areas. With our advocacy and support, we can put inclusive playgrounds in every school.
Here's our Works Cited page.
Thank you.
I want you to make an inclusive playground at your school.